Welcome to another episode of Three Essentials. My name is Donte Harris. I'm sitting here with Steve Snider. Steve, how are you doing today?
Well, very well. No complaints at all today. None.
I mean, it wouldn't help if you did complain.
No one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
I do.
Well, no, you care on the personal level, but in general, no one. What do you gain from complaining? It doesn't make any difference.
Gosh, it's good.
Just get back in the game.
I'm just excited to go into this conversation at this point. But what I like to do, Steve, is I like to talk about success, right? I think that everyone has a different definition of success. I think that it really just kind of plays into like, what kind of lifestyle are you looking for? What kind of life do you want to have? And what are the things that drive you and motivate you as a person? And so I sit with my friends, hello, and I sit with people who motivate me, hello, and I sit with people who have fantastic style, hello. And I just really want to know, what are three attributes that you believe are vital to success, and how do you get to a place where you think you're successful?
So it's interesting because my new role, since I've moved to Florida, has really been around this conversation with a lot of agents. Mm-hmm. And, I manage hundreds of agents.
Small flex.
Well, small. But it's the conversation that we have all the time is, the biggest challenge, I think, for most people is not to compare themselves to other people if they want to be successful. Okay. Because, it's easy to look at the biggest agent, for instance, or in your office selling insurance. It's easy to look at the person who just does more.
Yeah.
And just equate that success with what's going to, be successful for you. And I think what I've really been able to say to people is, you've got to carve out what your life is supposed to look like. Is it family? Is it kids? Is it, grandkids? Mm-hmm. Is it traveling more? Is it going to the gym more? Is it being healthy? It's all of those things you have to ask yourself, and all of those take priorities.
Yeah.
And so what I really say to people is, you'll make time for what's a priority for your life. And so my one essential piece, if I tell everybody, is schedule your day on purpose. Mm. I heard someone speak, I won't say their name, but I heard someone speak a long time ago and said, if you leave with nothing after this conference, leave knowing that you live your life on purpose. And he said, but there's two ways that you can read that. On purpose means intentionally living, right? Like making choices to get where you want, or to live your life on purpose. And he said, and I think one of the challenges as we get older is you start figuring out, what's my purpose? What is it? Is it to motivate others? Is it to coach others? Is it to retire early? Is it to run a marathon? Is it whatever it's going to be? Yeah. And I thought that was actually very important, for me to hear and that's what I share with agents. It's what I share with people is live your life on purpose, meaning if you're going to get up at a certain time, get up at a certain time. Mm-hmm. If you're committed to the gym, you go to the gym. If you're going to eat differently, eat differently. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can say, I did that the way that I was supposed to. No one's showing up in the morning. Well, I might show up to your house and let's go to the gym.
You just literally asked me if I want to go run a half marathon in 2 weeks at 6 a.m.
All right, so I might do that. But in general, most people don't show up and be like, hey, let's go together, right? That's normally not how this works.
I think for me, just sticking with that, it's the consistency, right? And when it comes to relationship, I've developed a relationship with you because of your consistency and my consistency in the same space. Right. Right. And so because we've figured out, hey, physical health is important to us. We met there, we bonded there, and now that's created a relationship outside of that space, but just showing up, right? Being intentional with our show-ups, being intentional with our conversations and our hangouts and the things we share with one another. So I think...
Well, and I think it happens. So I'm if we just make it about work, right, which we all have jobs for the most part, everyone works. What are you trying to accomplish at work? Are you trying to be an average employee? Or if you own the company, do you want to grow it, 10x. Yeah. Someone else says that word, but yeah. But do we want to grow it however you want to, whatever. I mean, but those decisions are yours to make. Nobody else's to make, right? And I think that really is the sentiment that I try to, convey to people, because the challenge that we look at is the Olympics just happened, and you look at these athletes who are
phenomenal, and
they make it look so effortless.
Yes. But
we forgot that they just spent the last 20 years of their life, 7 hours a day, preparing.
And people look at the finished product,
right,
all the time. And I think that's That's what I'm hearing when you're talking about, like, don't compare yourself to certain people, especially in your industry or in your office space. Because when you do that, like, you're looking at what their finished product is. You're not looking at the process or the journey that it took to get them there. And you yourself, everyone is on their own journey. So go at your pace, be intentional with what you're doing in that space, and really make it happen.
So, yeah, and I agree. I mean, one of the things that happened when I came and took this role and kind of surveyed all the agents and saw where their growth was and how much money they made.
Yeah.
I thought immediately, I'm going to talk to everybody, and it's obvious they're going to want to go from $10 million to $20 million in business, or they're going to want to go from 20 to 50, or they're going to want to go from 50 to 100.
Yeah.
But that's not really true. Because I've talked to a lot of agents who do good business and they have a good income, but their life is important to them. Their lifestyle, or spending time with their grandkids, or having just enough money to go on 2 extra vacations a year is why they work. And it took me a minute to realize that, because, of course, for me, it's if I'm showing up, I'm showing up.
Yeah.
And it's for only one reason, right? I do this to make money.
Yeah.
So I can provide all the rest of the things. And that's maybe not the best approach for that. But I learned that over the last, almost now 2 years of dealing with so many agents, that people's motivations are very, very different. They're not the same as mine, right?
Absolutely.
Running or working out, it's do we have a goal? Like, I actually had a guy in New York that I worked out with, and he actually used the term train. Like, he's training. He's always training. He's not just working out. Like, he's working towards something. And if it's to be better conditioned or better, to jump higher, to be, whatever, like he had a goal of why he was doing it, not just to be healthy.
Yeah.
He really wanted to do it. And I felt like that was a really important, statement that I heard from him, is like, I'm training for something. Like, everything I do is on purpose and, and intentional, which I really liked. So, I mean, if the question at the beginning is what are these essential things, I mean, I think living your life on purpose is the most important aspect.
Right.
Creating time that you focus on whatever that task is. I say to people all the time who say, I don't have any time, whether you sell insurance or whether you sell real estate or whether you sell hot dogs. We say the same thing. How many hours a week do you work? 1,000. But it's not true. We don't really work 1,000.
Yeah.
We work like 12.
Yeah.
And if you work 12 or 20 really intentional hours, it's probably way better than the 1,000 that you try to cram into the week. Mm-hmm. And I've said to people, if you have kids, what time do you pick your kids up at school? And everyone says something, 2:30, 2:45. And then by the time you pick them up, you leave and you go to Target and you've got to buy baking soda for the volcano, for the science fair project, or a board to draw the thing that's due tomorrow, and a diorama and all those kinds of things. So by the time you pick your kids up to when they're finally finished, where you can maybe make another phone call, it's 5 o'clock. And I said, but that's your priority. So during those couple of hours of you being with your kids, that becomes the priority. So you can make time if you choose to make that the priority. Because I've always asked them, has your kid ever sat on the sidewalk, on the curb, waiting to be picked up? And their answer is always the same, no, because that's what matters to you. So if we can figure out those things that matter to us and prioritize those in our life and schedule and block time out to focus on them, those are, to me, are these essential kind of steps to success. Figuring out what the purpose is, living your life on purpose, making priorities and blocking them out and scheduling those times, and whether that's, you and I getting a workout in or going to church or, grabbing lunch. We still got to schedule that time.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen, because if it just happens, we never go.
Yeah.
So that would be kind of the second one for me.
I like the intentionality, right? And it's simply because, like you said, like, you can let life happen, or you can be why life happens. Right?
Yeah.
And when you set things in motion and where you set things into your schedule, like, not only are you telling the person that you're spending time with, or the thing that you're prioritizing, that it is important, that it is a priority, but you're also telling that to yourself. And so you're allowing yourself to prioritize things, because a lot of people take whatever comes at them. And I know I'm guilty of it sometimes.
We all do, right? You still have to react to how life goes.
But if I have, like, when I take a call, and, like, say that call is going a little longer than expected, and I'm about to go into a meeting, hey, I really want to, like, give you the full attention that you deserve for this, but I have another call that I have to hop on, and then I will revisit this, or I'll circle back to you so that we can have a full-length conversation about it.
No, I think those are the important things, is that, one thing that you look at when you see people who are successful, whether it's in your industry or my industry or any industry, they make it look so easy. Mm-hmm. They really do make it look easy. But most people would never do the work to get to the point of having the easy looking life that they have, because it's really hard work to get there. They've really dialed in. And that I think is the hardest part for people, because they see what they want, they see the prize, they see the goal, but they won't do the work to get there. And we know that, like, you go to these events and you go to these places and you know that 1 or 2% of the people are ever going to even do any of the work.
Yeah. I remember I heard a speaker say, like, there's 10,000 people here today. Most of y'all are not going to follow through with what I'm telling you to do.
Right. But thank you for the $1,000.
But yeah, thanks for showing up.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. Because we've been told 90% is just showing up, but it's not really. But we show up a lot.
Yeah.
But if you don't do anything, you walk on the treadmill instead of run, you don't become a better runner.
Yeah, you never transform.
No. So yeah, so that's it. And then I would say for me, like, if we're going to talk about 3 things that I think are important, the other one is really making, whether it's family, friendships, faith, whatever, like finding that thing outside of work, whatever that thing. We all have jobs, right? We all have to do that, but really figuring out what that is. I mean, like, for me, trying to figure out ways to, like, see my granddaughters more is like a huge thing for me. Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out all the time. So every time there's a hint of, you can come to Florida, the flights are cheap, like, get on a plane, come here. Or we'll go there and we'll go to DC and watch the cherry blossoms. Like, that's the priority for me right now.
Yeah.
And I have to figure that out, because it matters and it means a lot to make those sacrifices. And I think when we make those sacrifices in our lives mixed in with the successes and wins that we get, that's kind of a really well-balanced kind of a way to live. Like, we still have to do the things that fill us, still have to make money, still have to pay bills, still have to do all those things.
Yeah, you have to take care of your responsibilities, but at the same time, like, you don't want to just endure life. You want to enjoy it at the same time.
So, I mean, it's not revolutionary, the way I say it. And actually, it's one of the things that has been so weird now in this role is I find myself saying things that I've heard people say my entire adult life. The same exact patterns, like prioritize this, schedule this, be on time. Be on time is, I feel like, one of the biggest things, and in Miami, like, it's one of the hardest things for people to follow through on. Well, that's just because of 95.
I wouldn't know, because you could take local roads.
I don't know. There's a wreck every 6 feet. I've noticed that.
I would say 6 blocks, but that's an exaggeration.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I will say, like, you have control over 2 things. You have control over your punctuality, and you have control over your effort. Yeah. And so a lot of people just don't really want to be punctual. Right. Like, my time is more important, and I'm like, no, we're everyone's on a level playing field. Like, let's figure out how to make this work and collaborate together.
Well, one of my favorite things, that since you and I met, in fitness, one of my favorite things going to a gym is to see someone making the effort that is clearly really difficult effort. And it's, especially sometimes in the classes that we go to, it could be intimidating for someone who's not in a certain shape to show, and they show up and they work. And they're putting in the effort, and all you hope is they don't stop, because you want to see that transformation right in their life. But you see it, and it's more motivating than working out with you, right? Like,
no, I was going to say working out with you,
right? No, but seeing that person, you're like, yeah, that's what we're talking about. Like, you're doing it, you're making the decision to show up and be present and transform your life and make really hard decisions, because ultimately it's where you want to go. So, I don't know, not revolutionary stuff, but that's kind of how I structured it all up.
Sometimes you just got to stick to the basics. And so, Steve, like, I appreciate you coming on. I thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with us. Is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
No. I appreciate you as my friend. I really do.
You. Like, I really love you.
I know, I love you too. So, I mean, that's the other part of this journey. You don't know where it's taking. And, when you live your life in a certain way with nice open hands and open to experiences, you meet people like you, and we get to have a friendship for the rest of our life, which is nice.
Amen to that, man. Anyway. I'm excited to be on this journey with you.
You excited to run a half marathon?
I'm excited to see all the success that comes in your life, and for you to see the same one for me.
I appreciate it.
I love you.
All right.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.